Somebody Marry Me. Yeah, that was an amazing.
Which I got to talk about.
That's an amazing experience.
Yep.
Yeah, so I Hate Kids is the name of the movie.
Yeah.
And I play a very small part in it, but I play a character that actually doesn't hate kids.
But it's the same director.
So that was the acting.
So that was cool. So that would be fun.
Yeah, and you know who was in it? Tom Everett Scott. You know who he is? He was in that movie, That Thing You Do. What a nice guy.
God, The Thing You Do.
You know that thing that Tom
Hanks directed?
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
He played the drummer in it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
What a warm, don't you like when you go on a set and it's like you see the guy and he comes hi. And I had a small part. I was doing a favor for John, and he was just so warm and likable. And it's like now I want to watch everything he's in because he's just so.
That is true. Yeah. So when you work with somebody and you don't have a positive experience, then do you not like want to watch their work anymore? I'm that way.
Well, sometimes
I don't want to watch them.
There are some people I have trouble watching their work. Yeah, absolutely.
I
can honestly
chastise myself. I shouldn't be that way.
You shouldn't be that way, but it's hard to separate yourself from it. And it's like, but the audiences sometimes can't separate you as the actor from something you've done. A role but is another thing. Because like everybody thought, I worked with, Gandolfini, for instance. Yeah. Everybody thought of him as this big tough guy, this big, but he was such a warm, open teddy bear. And then you see that last movie he did with Julie Louis-Dreyfus. And I tell people, they say, what was he like? I said, watch that movie. When he's sitting on the stoop with her, that's who he was, So, anyway.
Did you have that kind of relation with them? Sopranos it seemed we all kind of like, you would always appreciate each other's work at least.
The thing about the Sopranos, nobody ran back to their trailers. Everybody sat on the chairs. It's like you were standing on a street corner or sitting on a stoop. Everybody just bullshitting and telling stories and laughing. And you realize, so you with Stevie Van Zandt. Holy shit, I'm sitting here with Stevie Van Zandt, right? Frankie Valli played my consigliere. So you're sitting around, all of a sudden these two guys start singing or whatever, and it was I remember one of the last scenes. I never had any scenes with Edie Falco, who I just adore. Talk about somebody whose work you could watch. She's just really amazing to watch. If you ever see her on stage, she's really captivating. But I remember one of the last scenes we were shooting, it was this scene where Christopher's funeral, Michael Imperioli, and it was a long wait because, part of the thing was nobody knew, only the cast knew that Christopher was dead, so they had a different body in the coffin, and they had prayer cards made up with the different characters' names, so caterers and nobody else would know, so it wouldn't get out who was dead, and then we had to wait around when they snuck Michael onto the stage, and they shot him in the coffin. So there was a lot of waiting around that day, and once I'm sitting next to Edie, and I had never worked with her on the show, I certainly saw her around the set, and we're just waiting, and all of a sudden she leans over to me, she goes, "It will never be this good again." It was the next to the last episode. We knew it was ending, and it's like, wow. There's something about, I came on in season 4, and the show was already so big, and I had been on other shows, and I remember before I went to New York to shoot, I was thinking, I'm going to really soak this in. This is a special experience, and I'm going to take in every moment, and I did, and I think we should do that with all of them, but...
Yeah, do you try to keep a little bit? I know you can't keep in big touch with everybody, but do you? No,
it's actually interesting. I became very good friends with Carl Capatordo, who played Little Paulie. I played Little Carmine, and we always say, us littles have to stick together. But he's actually a writer that acted in the show, but primarily he's a writer, and he wrote on the series Vinyl, and now he's writing on the new one called Deuce. He's a writer on the new show called Deuce.
I haven't seen Deuce.
No, it hasn't premiered yet. It's the one with James Franco. Takes place in the 70s, the porn industry in the 70s.
I like Vinyl. Not amazingly, but I like it. Yeah.
Well, Terry Winter wrote Vinyl, who's the...
Did he was Soprano, right?
Soprano.
What's he like? I tell you something? When I would watch Boardwalk Empire, when I would see it was directed by Terry Winter, I would go, or Timothy Van Patten, I would go, who the fuck are these guys?
Tim Van Patten is maybe the most liked director by any actor or crew on the planet. If you want
work,
he's been around forever. He was an actor on White Shadow. Tim Van Patten.
That's the same one? I wondered that, but I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah. And then he went into directing. I remember I did an episode of Touched by an Angel in Utah.
Right.
Remember, you have to go to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And I remember it was my first day there, and I'm sitting around, and all of a sudden the crew starts saying, "Timmy's coming in. Timmy's coming in." And the whole crew starts bubbling. Timmy's coming in. And I just watched an episode of The Sopranos the night before, and I saw Tim Van Patten direct. I said, who's Timmy? And they said, Tim Van Patten, he's directing the next episode. And I was thinking, this guy goes from directing The Sopranos to Touched by an Angel. And, I mean, could you get more diametrically opposed stylistically or content-wise? But what I realized is the crew just loved him. He was the most easygoing director. Yeah, and he directed some of the most amazing scenes on The Sopranos. There was that episode where Edie and Jimmy, Tony and Carmela have that big fight and it's such a dramatic scene, and then you look at it and you say, who directed it? And it's like Tim Van Patten. You go, right. Or Terry Winter wrote it. I mean, Terry is an amazing writer and really a good person. I know a lot. I've met so many people that have been friends with Terry since he was a kid, and they all say he's the same exact guy he is now as he was then, and he's really a successful writer in this town. I mean, he can.
Because when you see Boardwalk, when you would hear the actors on Boardwalk Empire talk about it, maybe I don't know why they were doing that, but anyway, they were doing it, and of course we're all shocked because I was shocked because I didn't know half those people were English. Especially
I know Al Capone. Right.
and the other guy, Jeffrey Wright.
Right.
I mean, it's like, But anyway, and they would all say, well, gee, whenever we would get a call from Terry Winter, we would have to call him back, but we didn't want to, because they thought when he calls, it's like, dead. I'm sorry.
Well, it was
the next one is your last episode.
It was always like that.
I just never.
On The Sopranos, you get to the table read and you turn the pages very slowly, thinking, oh, please don't whack me. Yeah. Well, apparently there was I didn't get whacked, so I never got that call, but there was a call you'd get where you'd say, we're going to take you out to dinner. Yeah. And it's like, that's it. I'm dead. Wow. I'm dead.
Is Carmine the girl that was John Turturro's sister?
The sister, Aida.
Yeah, Aida.
They're cousins.
She's so good. Oh, they're cousins.
They're cousins.
I thought they were brother and sister. She's so darn good.
Yeah, she's. Yeah.
And Lorraine Bracco.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet? Do you understand? I never understood. I just, when I met her and seen her work, I just like her.
Yeah.
I never understood it with Eddie Almos. I could never figure that one out.
Well, how about Harvey Keitel before that?
Well, I don't know Harvey, but at least that makes a little more sense. I mean, but Edward is like, he just seems like, mean.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know him. I like this work.
But see, it was just like amazing that you experienced that. God, I hope you get to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a.
But see, this is it. I loved your character when it was so funny. It wasn't until last night when you would say, a pint of blood
costs more than a gallon of gold.
And I thought it was goat.
No, it's gold.
I thought goat. And I would go, what? And I'd be laughing less. I go, God, that's so funny.
Now we should go back to my speech teacher that I was in with Julie Haggerty and say, did he say goat or gold?
No, I was doing more work on you. I went, oh my God, it's gold.
Oh, that's so funny because I'm gonna make a little turn here. One of my best friends is Colin Hay. Do you know who Colin Hay is? He's the singer, lead singer, frontman of Men at Work.
Oh, okay.
Right, and he has a solo career that's just spectacular. He's a beautiful singer, songwriter, guitar player, and he's one of my best friends. But he always tells a story about, he'd say, drunk guy would come up and say, play the song about the goat. I don't have a song about it. Yeah, you do. Play a song about the goat. I don't have any song. Yeah, where the goats come and then they leave, and the song is, ghosts appear and fade away. And he said, and then I sang it, and I'm thinking, I could have just written goats, and they would have loved it. He said, I remember torturing myself over that line, coming up with that line, thinking I wrote a gem. This is great. This is poetry. I'm so proud of this moment. Go, and he thinks it's goats, and he would have been just as fucking happy if it was goats appear and then go.
So do you write? Have you write?
I do write
music or television?
No, well, I did. I was a writer on a children's show for Nickelodeon in the 90s called Wienerville. There you go. That's right up your alley.
It is, because I was going to ask you, what the fuck is Wienerville? I mean, what is Wienerville?
Yes, we were going to go with Cockville, but it was for Nickelodeon.
It was already taken. I didn't know that was a Wienerville. Somebody was wetting themselves. Somebody had to be.
Well, I'll tell you how it came.
At Nickelodeon.
It was totally legit because
the
host's name was Mark Wiener, and he played all of the characters as puppets with his real head, hence Wienerville.
Oh,
see, so you could get away with it. So I was the head writer on that show, and I directed all the pre-roll stuff.
How did you get that gig? I love it.
Well, that was crazy because I directed Mark in a play in New York, maybe in 1977, and he was a street mime at the time. And then he got into this theater group that I had left, but they asked me to come back and direct, and I thought, this guy's really funny, just visually, but he didn't do anything with words. So I started working with him, and then he ended up performing on the streets and doing more and then he ended up going in the clubs, and then he became a pretty successful comic at the Improv and Catch a Rising Star and all those clubs in the 70s when Seinfeld and Larry David and all those guys were in the clubs at the same time. And then he got the show, and he had a writer, some writers, and they called me and said, would you come in? Because I understood how to write for him in particular. So I became the head writer and director. I did that for a while.
You also directed some episodes?
I directed all the roll-in stuff. We did a lot of pre-tape stuff. Anything that was pre-taped, I did. And then there was another director for the live stuff.
Now, you've never directed since then?
No, I've directed theater.
Did you not? Do you like directing?
I do like directing. I do like directing, but I think my ego wants me to... I want to. Yeah, I still like to perform, but I
like to be in front of the camera.
Yeah, but I do like. Sometimes I'll coach. I like doing that. I like. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, I directed a lot of those readings at the Playwrights Kitchen and the Playwrights Kitchen Ensemble. So I do like that.
Now I want to know when I saw the picture of Vincent Lombardi.
Yeah.
Where you did it in Florida.
Right.
Okay, and. You looked exactly like him.
This
is what I want. How did you? Because he's such an iconic figure. I mean, even I know about Vince Lombardi. I mean, everybody. So how did you? Approach that
when they first, Dan.
I would have never known that was you had I not seen your name underneath there.
I
never.
Dan.
I wish you had done it out here.
I know. Dan was doing it in New York.
It's Dan Laurie.
Dan Laurie was doing it on Broadway.
Okay.
And they thought if the show gets picked up, that then we'd need a replacement in New York or somebody for the touring company. And he said, come to New York, see the play. So I went to see it. He said, because you could do this. And I saw him do it, and I thought, no way on the planet, there's no way I could do this role. There's nothing about this role that resonates with me physically, vocally. I just don't see myself in this role. And then the show closed in New York, but right after it closed, they were going to do the first production of it outside of New York in Florida, and they called and they said, the producers in New York suggested you for the part, because Dan wasn't going to do it. So I said, well, all right, I'll take a stab at this. It's in Florida. And I went, and it just, the cast was great, and it just gelled, and I really challenged myself, and I thought, wow, I could do it. And the minute, I just did the blacked out teeth. He had those spaces in his teeth, and I cut my hair real short, and I had to put gray in my hair. Most people think I color my hair, but I don't. I had to put gray in my hair.
I can tell.
And I thought maybe I was too young to play this part. Then I realized I was older when Lombardi was when he died at 58.
I didn't know
he was only 58 years old.
Did he have a heart attack?
No, he had stomach cancer. Oh. So I mean, all the pictures you see of him, he was only like 51, 52 years old. He looked alike, but back then they seemed to. Yeah. So. I think I was 58 when I was doing it, somewhere around there. So when I first saw that picture that you probably saw, that was just a makeup test. The space in the thing. I did the gray in the hair, I did the hat, and I just found a little physical thing that he did, and I was like, okay, there it is, and then it became part of my body, and I just ran with it.
Now, how did you do Somebody Marry Me?
Somebody Marry Me. That's a film.
I can't even imagine.
Well, Somebody Marry Me came about because I had done an episode of. It's funny how one thing snowballs into another.
Well, it's good because as I was going over your resume, there are some shows that have hired you like 1 year and then 4 years later. I think that was I don't know what it was, NCIS. Or
the Practice did that.
But isn't that validation though?
It's
is what I mean, because we don't. Everybody asks what validation.
There's nothing.
We don't have it.
There is the best somebody calling you and asking you to come back on another show of theirs and just offering you something. It's like, thank God, because you feel like you've been doing it in a vacuum all these times.
Yeah.
And David Kelly, I have to say, he just kept me, and now he's doing such great work again. He kind of disappeared.
Goliath,
I will kill to be on Goliath.
I love Goliath.
David Kelly, if you're listening.
Yes, David E. Kelly.
I would be killed to be on.
Also, that one, it was a book, but it was
Big Little Lies. Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I think he's doing another one.
Well, I don't know. I started watching Mr. Mercer. Have you started that one?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's him as well.
Oh, well, Goliath, I can't wait for Goliath to come.
Mr. Mercer, that's a book by Stephen King, so it was Stephen King.
Mercedes. Mr. Mercedes.